What's going on, everybody? It's Jesse here at JDI Barbell down in Tribeca. Today I'm going to go over one of the most important habits to build first when you're first starting Olympic weightlifting.
Damn. Yeah.
So the habit happens to be the overhead position, specifically the position of the shoulder when the barbell is supported overhead, right? When we go to turn the barbell over, we go from a position of making contact, right? Shrugging the shoulder up and putting the barbell overhead where it's supposed to be, right? But what happens to a lot of people is that when they transition from the shrug, the extension, to turning the barbell over, what happens is instead of keeping the shoulders elevated, keeping the shoulder shrugged, they actually let the shoulder come back down here, okay? A lot of this has to do with being taught improperly, whether they were taught by a CrossFit teacher that wasn't quite qualified, not saying that all of them are, but some of them can be, or just somebody who just understood the movement incorrectly. The problem is that some people will actually teach the turnover or the overhead position to be an externally rotated shoulder, okay? The issue with an externally rotated shoulder is that when my shoulder is externally rotated, holding something heavy overhead, I'm not actually holding weights with the muscles of the upper trap and the upper back, okay? I'm holding the weight structurally on my joint. Structurally, an externally rotated shoulder might be a strong position, but when we're talking about supporting as much weight overhead as we possibly can, we want to actually hold that weight with as much muscle as possible. So you can actually even see that when I turn around, if my shoulders are externally rotated and down like this, right, okay, you might not actually see my upper traps or my upper back engaged. But if I think about slightly internally rotating my shoulders, or really just putting them more like neutral here where my elbows actually turn out, or even thinking about slightly back, right? Now, as I start pushing overhead and shrugging up, now you can see that all the upper back muscles right here are more engaged. So when that barbell's sitting overhead, that heavy barbell that I couldn't normally just press overhead, right? I would have to jerk it overhead or snatch under the weight. When I press that weight up, now it's being supported by the entire upper back musculature, right? Also connecting down into my trunk to keep myself as solid as possible. All right, so Stacia here has been weightlifting on and off very inconsistently for about 6 months, okay? So we want to ingrain this habit in her now, okay? So the position that we're talking about, so she's gonna actually put the barbell overhead, okay? So I'll put the barbell overhead. So again, what a lot of people will learn, what some people will learn, right, is to think about externally rotating and have it down like this, okay, right? Now, again, if she goes to the bottom of her squat, okay, what you'll see is a lot of times, because the upper back is not engaged right here, is that there's a lot of looseness right here, okay? So if she was to not put the barbell exactly where it should be and she gets to the bottom of that snatch, what might happen is she might actually lose the barbell behind her like that and have to drop that, okay? But if we put her in the position that she's supposed to be in right here, where we kind of turn those elbows out and think about shrugging up as high as she possibly can, right? Keeping all those muscles engaged. Now when she pushes, you can see her entire, or when I push against her, her entire body kind of moves right here, because now right here, her upper back is nice and engaged, it's tense, it's connected with the entire body. So right now, again, if we're talking about position of that barbell, the barbell should actually be over the base of her neck, so she's gonna press that barbell up, okay? So again, right here, if I was to tell her, or if she ever got the cue to externally rotate, again, this is not a very strong position to hold weight overhead, okay? But if I have her slightly internally rotate her shoulder, put her elbow back, and tell her to shrug up against that barbell as much as possible, now you can see all those muscles in the upper back, in the shoulder, everything engages, right? And now it creates a muscular base now to actually hold that weight overhead. Right? This is one of the most important habits to build, so we need to build it from the beginning, okay? So a couple things that I can have her do is she's gonna do an overhead squat, okay? Once she understands the position of her shoulder, right, and she understands that she's supposed to shrug up as much as she possibly can, okay? Now she's gonna do the overhead squat like that, okay? And the entire time we want to think about trying to push up against that barbell, even at the bottom, right? So one thing that you can even do as a coach, or if you're just a weightlifter, have a friend, is that you can actually push that barbell down and she's gonna have to push up against me like that. Good. And so this actively teaches her to keep her shoulders engaged the entire time, okay? From there though, we need to make this more dynamic. So you bring the barbell back down, okay? Because obviously a snatch happens a lot faster than that, okay? So a drill that we can do is a heaving snatch balance. Once she gets the idea and she builds the muscular strength to actually hold the barbell like that for a good amount of time, now she's gonna practice doing it dynamically, because again, what we want is that once we go into that extension and we shrug, right? Once we turn the barbell over, we want to keep the shrug engaged the entire time, right? What we're going to focus on is that she's just going to do a quick dip and drive, get the barbell off of her shoulders a tiny bit, and then punch down into that overhead squat position. But we want to focus on, with this, it's not about speed under the bar per se. It's about learning to immediately shrug the shoulders against that barbell as she goes down. So do it 3 times. Good. And back up. Awesome. And again, ready, shrug up, go, shrug. Good. One more. And go up, engage. Awesome. And come back up. Good. So if you want to be a badass like Stacia, you got to listen to everything that I tell you and make sure that you ingrain that habit at the start. And if you find this helpful, like, subscribe, and share, and do it
right now.